Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be reviewing and comparing some of my favorite brush pens. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I like each one and then go over some illustrations that I've done with each one of these and kind of talk about the differences and the different qualities you can kind of get out of each one of these. So these are all the brush pens I'm going to go over. I've done some illustrations with each of the brush pens so you can kind of see what they look like on the page, if you guys can tell a difference in just some of the marks that you'll get with each pen. These first three faces up top, they're done with this Pigma brush. And you can get these in lots of different colors, and that's one nice thing about them. The thing I don't like about these, and one of the things I've gotten away from, are these like the kind of the marker tips. These don't have bristle tips on them. And so one thing about that is these wear out. So you'll lose that sharp tip on there eventually. And that's kind of a bummer. And the other thing is you lose a few of the nicer kind of spontaneous things that happen with brush pens. For instance, when looking at these three, you can see that you get a nice fine point. You can get some nice line variation. I'll show you that right here. So you can go real tiny like this and then get real pretty thick. I say pretty thick because some of the other brush pens or bristle brush pens you can get really thick with based on the size of the tip. But still, it's a serviceable pen. It's a nice starter pen, I think, too, because there's some things that happen with the bristle brush pens that, you know, it takes some getting used to, that these don't necessarily have that drawback. And that's kind of ink buildup that might happen. These have a really steady flow. You don't have to worry about accidentally like getting a big spot of ink on your illustration. These stay pretty consistent. And like you can see, you can get really fine with these. So you could definitely use them for, you know, finer work if you want to use the brush pen for the majority of what you're illustrating, and then maybe use this for like eyes or real places where you definitely don't want to make a mistake. But it's a pretty good pen. I like them. Out of all the like marker tip style brush pens, I think I like these the best for drawing. Next up, I have an Artist Loft, similar style marker tip. This is a pretty cheap pen. I did this second row with this pen. You can get pretty thin with it. Again, a lot of the similar features to this pen. I mean, they're almost identical. You could probably use either one of these and get the same kind of treatment. You can kind of see you can get real thin, a lot thicker with this one, which is nice. So you can go pretty thin to, you know, real thick, and you can do it in the same line. So you can get nice line variation, which is, you know, that's what you're going for. You want that that line variation to kind of give your drawing life, make it not look so mechanical. And it's definitely something that, if that's what you're going for, you want to use a brush pen. So, and again, it's a great starter brush pen for anybody that's looking to try brush pens, that's coming from just a standard ballpoint pen or something like that, something like this, if you've used this. So now we're gonna go down to the bottom one, which is one of my favorite pens, and this is getting into the bristle brush pens. This is the Pentel pocket brush pen. This pen, you can see the tip. You can get super fine detail. I did these bottom drawings with this one. You can get, I mean, that is about as hair thin as you can get. So you can get some great textures. You have to be real steady with this pen. And that's one of the things I was talking about earlier with these pens. There's definitely a learning curve to the nicer heavy ink flow brush pens. It's real easy to be doing little lines like this and then accidentally do a big one. or you get ink buildup and you're not watching it, and you go to do a small little line on the eye and it gives you a big ol' mark. So that's one of the things you have to kind of get used to. And this pen, I do feel like that happens a little bit more often, which is a good thing. The ink flow is really nice on this for the brush pens, because so you see over on this illustration, you can see how you can see the bristles, which that's a really neat effect anyway. So sometimes you want that, and that's what you're gonna get with the bristle brush pens, is you'll get those kind of like, you know, hand-drawn effects that happen with these. Makes the drawing very tangible, and just makes it look like it's hand done. This one I think is the one I go to the most, and this also has interchangeable cartridges. So you just unscrew the back and you get these Pentel FP10. You just plug that in there. I did see a couple videos on being able to refill these if you want to. I just buy the cartridges. They're not too bad. As far as price goes on this pen, I believe this one is a $10 pen for just the pen. It comes with 2 cartridges that you can, so it's quite a bit more expensive than these. This one I think I bought for $2. And then this one's about the same price. So these are only like $2, $3. But like I said, the tips on these wear out. So you end up having to buy more of these. As where this one I've been using for a while now, and the tip is great. I just buy new ink cartridges, and the tip is still, I mean, you can still get that super fine line on there. So when you're adding little textures on, let's say, the lips, like down here, you want some little lines, you can get really fine detail. And watch the line variation on this one. So super tiny, and then, I mean, real thick all the way back to really thin again. And it's just such a smooth, beautiful line. So next up we have this, it's called a Fude brush pen, and it's like Fude on Amazon. And I have a couple of these that look like, actually I have 3 of these. I did this illustration with this blue one, which is, if you can see, the blue one is a finer tip than this black one. And I like both of these a lot. So if the last, you know, this last pen, the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen is one I use a lot. These are either tied or pretty dang close. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit better with both of these. I feel like you can get as fine a tip, just because there's like one bristle that hangs off the tip of these, and you can get the finest line with either one of these, like just almost like hair thin. And that is one thing I absolutely love about this. The level of detail you can get with either one of these is great. The other cool thing about these pens is I feel like I've drawn tons with these, and the inkwell on the back of these is still full. I mean, you can hear the ink when you shake them in it. And so I feel like they last forever, and you can just get on Amazon, I got these as well, just replacement back ends on these. So pretty easy to change out. They last a long time. The line quality is absolutely amazing. So you're watching me draw this one right here with this thinner one. I mean, you can get really thick with this one as well. The flow on both of these is amazing. You just squeeze it. Sometimes I have to squeeze this to get to the flow to come out a little bit better. But once it's kind of going, it's beautiful to draw with. Both of these, I highly recommend both of these. If I were to only be able to get one pen out of all of my pens, I would probably choose this one right here. I mean, I feel like I can color big areas with it and get hair thin with it, and I have a lot of control with it. So I feel like it covers every base for me. This pen costs $10 at Michael's. So if you do use their daily coupon, then you can get it for 40% off. Amazon, I think, has them for anywhere from $10 to $8 to $12, depending. So, they're kind of expensive, but like I said, I feel like they last a really long time. I've used it a lot, and I've done a lot of crazy coloring with it, like covered lots of areas, and the bristles and just how fine it is hasn't changed at all. So as far as the quality of it, it's pretty amazing. So next up we have the Copic brush pen, and it's a little bit smaller tip than the other ones. It's very similar to the Pocket brush pen, so I'd imagine that Copic this is their direct competition with the Pocket brush pen. They're almost identical, and I think as far as what you get, this pen is a little bit bigger. It might have a little bit more ink. I did watch a video on being able to refill this one, so you just take the tip off like this, and you can actually fill this with ink. There's a video, maybe I'll link that video, where you can refill it, as where this one has an ink cartridge that you can put in the back. So, but as far as like quality, I did this illustration, you're watching me do this one right now. It's pretty good. I think you could easily get this one, and these two would be interchangeable. I prefer this one only because I've used it more, but I think this is a great pen as well. So last up, we have another Pentel brush pen. This one I believe costs $4 at Michael's, or $5 at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I think you could probably get it on Amazon, and it's called Brush Sign Pen. It's I think it's Pentel, I believe. Maybe not. Actually, no, it is. It's Pentel. And the thing I like about this one is you're watching me do this drawing with it, and you can tell it's a very fine line. But it's a very controlled fine line. You don't have to worry about those big ink splotches that might happen. So a lot of times if I'm doing a really good drawing, I'll do a drawing or the eyes or the nose with this pen. So this is a pen I will always have, just because I trust it. And who knows, maybe I'll get confident enough with those larger pens someday to where I don't need this one as much. But I feel like for just really consistent, fine details, if you're adding textures to a character, like skin marks, sometimes I like to do that, like little skin pocks or just lines, and this one's a really nice pen to have. It's really consistent, a great pen. So I would recommend this one as well as a supplement to one of the bigger brush pens maybe. So these two, or even the Pocket brush pen and this one, go really great together. So, I love this pen. I would definitely have this one in my bag. But well, that's the video. So I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you guys learned something that you didn't already know. There's a lot of I watched at least one other great brush pen video for drawing, and a lot of the videos that I've seen on brush pens are for writing. So, these have multiple uses, but I just wanted to do this because, I've really been into brush pens lately. If you've watched my sketchbook update videos, my sketchbook tours, then you've seen the vast majority of my work is pen and ink. So it's, I've been using these a lot lately. All these illustrations are started with, one of these brush pens. So I feel like I've been using them a ton, and I know you guys are probably interested in doing some pen and ink work. So I figured I'd make this video and just give you my insights on those pens. yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching. Wednesday, 9 a.m., that's what time this video is going live, and that's what time pretty much for the foreseeable future, every video that I do, and then some supplemental videos here and there. But Wednesday at 9 a.m., you should be able to see my newest video every week. So anyway, if you haven't already and you like this video, make sure you subscribe and share it if you know anybody who's independent ink and you think that some of the information in here is valuable. So anyway, I will catch you guys later.